Well, Steve Smith, he come on here last night. Hey, Steve Diminutive Smith came on NFL Network after the Ravens got humiliated, and they were talking about how Lamar played horrible. And he goes, oh, what do you? Buy? They asked him, and he goes, well, I just hope that Baker Mayfield is held to the same standard as Lamar if he loses tomorrow. I feel some people get a free pass. He's talking about Baker Mayfield getting a free pass. Baker Mayfield, the most maligned quarterback I've ever seen, getting a free pass. Why are you mentioning Baker Mayfield anyway? Lamar Jackson played horrible. He cost his team another playoff victory, and you're talking about Baker Mayfield. Why? It's just like last week when you were visibly upset and got real demonstrative when asked if the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield could beat the Chiefs. You were visibly upset like a scorned schoolgirl, Steve. I mean, you really hate Lamar. You really hate Baker Mayfield. When someone says, I like Baker Mayfield, that's when they hate him. So anyway, then he goes on to talk about, Lamar played horrible. Then he goes on to talk about Tyrone Huntley, who came in and looked pretty damn good yesterday in a backup capacity to Lamar Jackson. He looked like an NFL quarterback, actually, who could go through his progressions, make the throws. He made a great throw to Mark Andrews in the end zone. Should have been a touchdown. Andrews dropped it. He goes on to call him flat out horrible and said the offense is horrible when Huntley came in. He goes, the offense is terrible without Lamar Jackson. When Huntley came in, it was terrible. I don't know what game you were watching, but you certainly don't know anything about football. Because Huntley came in. If they would have played Huntley the whole game, honestly, they would have beat the Bills because the Bills were beatable last night. They could have been beat. Josh Allen didn't play great. The Bills could have been beat last night, but Lamar Jackson choked. Then he goes on to talk about Greg Roman, who needs to be fired. And then he says he's a good coach, but he needs to be fired because his offense is too simplistic. Well, did you ever he said his 6-year-old could run it in his sleep. Did you ever think it's simplistic because maybe the quarterback can't grasp a complex offense? Did you ever think of that? Did you ever think that this quarterback who can't really make throws? I mean, really, you think about Lamar Jackson can throw 2 routes, the seam route and the quick slant. That's it. That's all he can do. Did you ever think it's simplistic because that's all he can handle? I mean, then again, Tyrone Huntley came in and looked a lot better. So yeah, I think it's time for you to accept the fact, Stephen Diminutive Smith, that Lamar Jackson's just not a good quarterback. He's just not. He's a great runner. No one will ever take it away from him. But he's not a good quarterback. And if the Baltimore Ravens decided to move on from him right now, like cut him because he doesn't want to play a running back or whatever, there's not a team in the NFL that would take him. Nobody. Not one team would say, we want this guy. He can play quarterback. He's 1-3 in the playoffs. That means he fails 3 out of 4 times in the playoffs. And Baker Mayfield's 1-0 in the playoffs, Steve. I mean, you got to understand something. Baker Mayfield is 1-0 in the playoffs. He won his first playoff game. Anytime the Steelers started to cut into the lead, Baker stretched it again. So, Steve, your hate for Baker Mayfield, which I thought was a race issue, but I know what it is. I'll explain that later. You go on to talk about Baker Mayfield, who you get very visibly upset talking about Baker Mayfield. And I was like, why is this guy? He's like a scorned schoolgirl. It's like a scorned ex-Mayfield's girlfriend. That's what he feels like when he's talking. He's visibly upset. So he's talking about the Browns if they have any shot against the Chiefs, and he's if you ask him Baker to make 1 or 2 plays, he can do that. But if you're asking him to go toe for toe, no chance. Sure did in college. Sure did his rookie year against other teams. I don't know where this misconception that Baker Mayfield's just a game manager. Baker Mayfield runs an offense that the coach puts out there every week. His rookie year, 2017, he's 14 interceptions. He was going down the field winning games with his arm. The offense doesn't call for him to do that now with great running backs like Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. But if it does call for him to do that, he's capable of doing it, and he will do it. But your quarterback, Lamar Jackson, can't do it. Everything has to be perfect for him. What I mean by that, your running game has to be perfect. If the running game ain't there and he can't run, you can't have him throw from the pocket. He obviously can't do it. So Lamar Jackson's about as game manager as game managers get. My other case in point is if the Ravens had Baker Mayfield yesterday as their quarterback, they beat the Bills easily. Because the Bills are very beatable. Hey, the Bills, honestly, they shouldn't even have beat the Colts. Josh Allen won that game for them. Because they didn't play that good against the Colts. Yesterday, their defense played great, but let's be honest about it. The defense played against a guy that can't throw a football. Basically, a running back playing quarterback. So they were beatable last night. If you had a quarterback like Baker Mayfield, you win that game easily. And I think Bills fans will tell you that. They were handicapped. You guys, the Ravens are handicapped because Lamar Jackson threw the worst red zone interception ever. It's his first one ever. Picked a hell of a time to have it. I will never take anything away from Lamar Jackson's running abilities. He's the best running quarterback I've ever seen in my life. And the reason that's easily done is because No one buddy plays quarterback that runs. Everybody throws the ball. That's the position. And quarterbacks are unaccountable, basically. So when he runs, he's unbelievable at running. I'll put it that way. There's no stopping him. You can spy him. Doesn't matter. He's going to get his yards. But he can't throw a football. And that's what quarterbacks get paid to do. And in the playoffs, he's 1-3. And the only reason he got a win in the playoffs, let's call a spade, is because he played the Tennessee Titans, the worst defense I ever seen. Hey, 8 minutes into the Cleveland Browns-Tennessee Titans game, Mayfield already had 260 yards and 4 TDs. It was 28-0 after one quarter. You guys can only put 20 points up against the Tennessee Titans defense. That's horrible. You guys should have scored 50 on that team. So he got his first playoff victory against the Tennessee Titans, a team that's horrible. But other than that, every other playoff game, he's terrible. He scores like 12 points. So then I'm starting to break down this Steve Smith thing, why he hates Baker Mayfield. Because anytime you mention Baker Mayfield, and let's call out Baker Mayfield for one thing. Before Baker Mayfield came to the Cleveland Browns from 99 to 2018, we were looking for a quarterback. We were the worst run organization in football. Quarterbacks would come there, fall on their face. I don't care if they were proven. Jeff Garcia, they fell on their face. We get Baker Mayfield. And we had the worst coach in football, by the way, too. We were coming off a 1-31 2-year stretch in the 0-16 season prior to getting Baker Mayfield. We get Baker Mayfield. He goes 7-7 his rookie year. And you're saying, why do you only start 14 games? That's because the head coach is a dumbass, Hugh Jackson, who got fired. And Baker Mayfield had another head coach there, Greg Williams, and he went 7-7 in his rookie year with a defensive-minded head coach. He was lighting it up, 27 TDs, 14 interceptions. Then his second year, we hired this high school coach, guy who was a running backs coach, never had a head coaching job before. We hire him, and it just implodes because it was, if you read up anything about the Cleveland Browns last year, Tom Brady wouldn't have been able to succeed last year. So Mayfield has an off year, obviously. Then we hire a real head coach, and Mayfield just excels. I would love to see what Baker Mayfield would be like in the same system for 3 straight years under the same coach, like Lamar Jackson, who has regressed in that same system, like Josh Allen, who's been good in that same system. But anyway, so Baker Mayfield goes 7-7 his rookie year, 6-10 his second year, and now 12-5, 1 game away from the AFC Championship, 2 games away from the Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield comes to the Cleveland Browns, changes the whole culture, him and Stefanski, franchise quarterback, franchise head coach. And he's still the most maligned quarterback in NFL history. I've never seen a guy get so maligned and so criticized. He has 19 TDs, 1 interception in the last 11 games. So you're probably saying, really? No one knows about that because they don't talk about it. He's the only quarterback besides Pat Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers to have a 95.5 quarterback rating 4 games this season. Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes, and Baker Mayfield done that 4 times this year. Lamar Jackson hasn't done that. Josh Allen hasn't done that. Baker Mayfield took a Cleveland Browns team to his own 16. Now has him a game away from the goddamn Super Bowl. I love Baker Mayfield. He's a fucking stud, and he's a quarterback. I thought Huntley came in, and I will say this right now. If Huntley played the whole game against the Ravens or against the Bills, I think the Ravens win that game. I really do. I mean, you're looking at a practice squad player, Huntley, that didn't have really no preparation, and he came in and he played well. And he made a throw to Andrews in the end zone that should have been caught. It would have cut it down to a 7-point game, but Andrews dropped it. So Lamar, he's had all these chances, and he's just failed. But I want to get to why Steve Smith hates Baker Mayfield. And I thought it was a race thing, but it's not. It goes down to this. He was talking about MJ Stewart. And first off, Steve Smith, I don't even think he watches football because he goes, they got Greedy Williams. Greedy Williams has been out all year. He's not coming back, all right? There's no chance of him coming back. But he asked that. Then he goes, well, MJ Stewart, they're going to take turns on him. He called him MJ Stewart a flat-out horrible player. MJ Stewart's a special teamer who's been thrust into the cornerback spot because we are injury depleted. And I thought he played actually pretty good against Pittsburgh. I mean, he played good against Pittsburgh. He was right there. He's just a tad second late. But he's ripping MJ Stewart, who's a professional football player. He's out there trying. He's ripping him like he's some kind of clown. And then he goes like this, and this is why he hates Baker Mayfield. He goes like this. He goes, I don't know, maybe he wakes up feeling dangerous. And then it dawned on me. For 3 years, Steve Smith, as soon as Baker Mayfield said, because when Baker Mayfield said that his rookie year, Steve Smith was probably calling up Musa Muhammad, all his ex-teammates. You see this little bitch, man, talking about feeling dangerous against Cincinnati? You see this bitch? Guaranteed. That comment mind-fucked Steve Smith. It's been embedded into his head for 3 fucking years. I thought it was a race thing, but it's that comment, feeling dangerous. Because these former players see someone like Mayfield come in there. Because let's be honest, when he said that comment to me, I thought it was kind of gay. I was like, oh my God, what a nerd. But these former players are looking at him like, oh, this guy's just a punk. That's why they hate him. And he's like, So he's been dancing for 3 years over feeling dangerous comment by Baker Mayfield. That's what he's been doing. I mean, it's crazy. When he came out, he said, I just hope we hold Baker Mayfield to the same standards as Lamar Jackson. I feel some people are getting a free pass. Well, I've never seen a quarterback more criticized than Baker Mayfield. No matter what he does, he wins against the Steelers in the playoffs. They minimize it. They talk about the great running game, defense. Everything they put in front of him, he passes it. They minimize everything. He'll beat the Chiefs. They'll minimize it. Say the defense played a great game. Baker had nothing to do with it. They'll win the Super Bowl. They'll minimize it. Baker was just there. He's handing off. He's game manager. They'll do that. They hate Baker Mayfield, and he thrives on that. As a Browns fan, there was times I didn't like Baker. Some of the things he did was kind of childish. But I tell you what, he grew on me this year because you got to understand, so watching football, when I see Baker Mayfield making throws, laser throws against the Las Vegas Raiders, he threw some lasers that should have been touchdowns against in 60-mile-an-hour wind that's crazy. This guy's got a cannon. He's a winner. And it took a little while to grasp the offensive concept by Stefanski, which I hear is a real tough offense to grasp. But he's done it. He's mastered it. And he's just a beast. I love our quarterback. I love what he's got going on now. I love his confidence. And I love this Browns team. So, Steve Smith, I want to see your reaction if the Browns win tonight. I want to see what you have to say. It's okay to say Lamar Jackson's just not good. I mean, and then to say Greg Roman should be fired, but he's a good coach. He should be fired. You got to start thinking of your quarterback there in Baltimore. He just can't grasp conceptual things in football. They obviously made a high school offense for him so he can gradually. And if you're the Baltimore Ravens right now, you're in Pandora's box. You open Pandora's box, the rabbit hole. What do you do? If you had a regular quarterback, you could legitimately go far in the playoffs, if not win a Super Bowl. But without the threat of a passing game in the playoffs, I mean, Lamar Jackson's going to dominate a regular season. You're going against teams that, they're not good. But against the playoffs, you're playing the top of the top. And they have defenses, and they will stop you. I mean, so the Ravens are in a tough spot right now. If they want to move on from Lamar, they're going to be considered racist. Because that's what they'll say. Oh, they're racist. They don't like Lamar. So, something will come up like that. He's just not a quarterback that you can win with when it counts. I'm sorry. This is his third year. The guy should be getting better. He's not. Every quarterback gets better. He gets worse. So if I was the Ravens right now, I would try to trade him. And if you were smart, you would change. If Lamar Jackson took a change to the safety position in the National Football League, he'd be a Hall of Fame safety. This guy would be a game changer. He would be on defense, he would change games on defense being a safety. The guy's unbelievable talent. And I think he could be a safety. I said the Browns should have done with Josh Cribbs years ago. He would have changed the game also. But Lamar Jackson, you really should be open to a change to safety because you're not a quarterback. And it's not a knock on you. It's just the facts. I don't know how long you played quarterback. You're just not good at it. But you would be a hell of a safety. Trust me.